Hello and good evening and welcome to the LWP podcast. So tonight is very, very exciting. I've got Marty Jones, as you all know, because it's been advertised all week. So I've got the wonderful Marty Jones joining me tonight. So Marty Jones is a 7 times World of Sport champion. So I don't see any point in me waffling on sitting here. I think we should not waste time and get the man in himself. So here he is, everybody, Marty Jones. Good evening, Marty. Are you all right, my lovely?
No.
No? Oh, you half left as well?
No, I'm great, thanks.
Well, other than the fact that you was up at 5 o'clock this morning to go fishing.
Yeah, love it.
I mean, you love it and it sounds wonderful and I'm sure it's dead relaxing and all that, but 5 o'clock?
Yeah, I get there about, well, it all depends whether I'm sleeping or not, to be honest.
Right,
I don't sleep. I don't sleep pretty good at the moment, but I'd rather go out in the fresh air. I've got a couple of geese, a couple of ducks. I set up, do my fishing, and the forecast was pretty good today. So it was -2, believe it or not, over here when I set off.
Where are you? Oldham way on?
Yeah, I'm at a place called Shaw, Oldham way. And by the time I got on the bank and did this, that, and the other and set up, I'm in my element, you know. And I thought it'd been packed today. It's a private water, only coarse fishing, where you catch the fish and put them back, you know.
So you don't bring it home for your dinner then?
No. Not at all.
Oh, Marty, I don't know how you do it, honestly. Do you put
I only like fish fingers on bushes, that's it.
Fish fingers? What, in a sandwich?
Yeah.
No, you saw.
But it's a relaxing thing for me because I've got the phone at the side of me, and I get a lot of people, you know, wanting to join my squared circle, and I can just chill and relax and just sit there.
Do you work?
I've not been.
No.
Yeah, sorry.
Do you work while chilling out?
Yeah, well, I haven't been for a while because I went to Australia to see my daughter and do some seminars, and I came back and the weather's been crap, so it was like the first proper day.
The weather's been best, has it?
Yeah.
So, Marty, I've got my little book here. So, this is your life, honestly. The stuff that I was researching for you is phenomenal because I was like, I don't want to do a rubbish job. I want this to be decent. And then I was like, what questions will people want the answers to? And then I thought, well, I just don't know. There's far too much to delve into with you, isn't there?
Yeah.
You've been a busy man, I'll tell you that. You've been a very busy man. So, I mean, let's look at this. Let's go straight back to where it all started. There's no point in waffling on about your achievements when we need to go back to the very beginning. So you was 18 for your very first debut match, wasn't you?
Professional, yeah.
Professionally, yeah. So at what age did you start wrestling?
6 years old.
No. What made you want to do it at 6? I mean, I get it. I think we've all put the pillars down on the floor and grabbed a sibling and started throwing them around. But what was it that drew you into wrestling at the age of 6?
Well, don't forget, there's all different forms of wrestling. And there's Olympic wrestling, amateur wrestling, like the wrestling they did in the Olympics. And my dad was a builder. Right. He was very friendly with a guy called Billy Robinson. And as you can see, I wear glasses. And not a lot of people know this, but I'm blind in one eye.
Okay.
Exclusive.
Yeah. You threw me there. Didn't find that one.
No, I had an accident when I was like 5, 6 years old, and I lost the sight of my eye. So you must have seen them years ago where you had a pair of glasses and you had a patch over it. Well, the kids used to take the mickey out of me at school. So I used to knock the shit out of them. So my dad took me to Billy Robinson's gym to control my temper. So Billy Robinson was a fantastic wrestler, but he never ever talked about professional wrestling. So I learned how to do amateur wrestling. And cut the story short, I did pretty well at it. And I won the British title the year that the Munich Olympics was on. I forgot what year. It was in the 70s, I think, 68, 67 or whatever. But in them days, there was no funding, so I didn't go to the Olympics. I went to the Olympic squad, but they sent 4 London lads, and I didn't go. And I'll be honest with you, Gemma, I thought this professional wrestling, after being pounded on the mat doing amateur wrestling, I thought this professional wrestling is a load of bollocks, to be honest. But like I said,
why did you think that it was a load of rubbish?
Yeah,
the professional side of it. What was the difference?
Well, I'm getting my head screwed off and having my head rammed up my ass, and I see all these people. I see all these people flying around and think that's not wrestling. And then Billy Robinson's cousin was Jack Robinson, and Jack Robinson used to train amateur and professional. And the original Bulldog, who was Colin Bulldog Johnson, he said, "Come on over to Wrighton Stadium, which is in Bolton, and learn the pro job." And I went over there, and I trained there for quite a while. And then the next thing is, I quite enjoyed it because my style, adding a few Olympic wrestling moves in. And don't forget, Gemma, I'm not talking modern day wrestling. I'm talking about doing some big, hard men in it.
Yeah.
And anyway, one time I went to Connors Quay in Wales, and there's a lesson you should always do is take your wrestling gear with you. And somebody didn't turn up, so they put me on. And I was on with a guy called Morris Hunter. And then the next day, the promoter said, "Do you want to turn professional?" So I went, I was 17 at the time. And at school, I was great at sports, but thick as shit. It wasn't for me. And what happened? My PE teacher said, "What do you want to do at school?" I said, "I want your job. I want to be a PE teacher." He said, You'll do well. But unfortunately, you've got to learn maths, English, and geography as well. It's not just sports. So I really, really tried hard at school. I think it was 30 in our class, and I always came about 26. And this particular year, I came third. The headmaster pulled me in and said I was cheating.
No.
Yeah, serious. So, and my mum had paid for a private tutor and everything, you know. So anyway, with that, I decided to turn professional. And because I had Billy Robinson as a teacher, who was a well-known, respected wrestler, he wouldn't talk to me because I'd turned from amateur to professional. And because he was a well-known wrestler and a good wrestler, I got an offer to go to Mexico. And I'd only been wrestling 6 months. And that was it. Off I went to Mexico.
Just like that, literally.
Well, there's funny tales about how I got there, but...
That's what I want. There we go.
I can't tell you.
You can. It's only me and you, I promise.
Right. Basically, my dad paid for me to go to Mexico. And don't forget, we're talking about 1977 here.
Yeah. I'm just going to plug me in. Sorry, my battery's dying. Yeah. So 77.
So the promoter says, you pay your own fare over and we'll pay your fare back.
Okay.
You see your reaction then?
You just would, though, wouldn't you? You would.
Well, I would, because I was a young kid. But Billy Robinson said, do not do it. So I said, why, Billy? He said, get them to pay your fare back. You pay your own fare there, because what they do, you get there, and when they've had enough of you, they just leave you with no work, and you find your own way back.
Right. Okay. Oh, makes
You
sense.
get me?
Yeah, it makes sense.
So the funny tale is, I went on a student's fair, and it was like going all around the world. I went from Manchester to Charles de Gaulle Airport. Now, don't forget, I'm leaving home, going to Mexico, and you weren't. I think there was one wrestler that's ever been to Mexico at the time. So I fly to Charles de Gaulle Airport, shitting myself. I didn't know anybody.
Just on your own?
Yep.
On
So
your
what
own.
do I do?
Off
So I
you
get
go.
to Charles de Gaulle, and they come up with this hotel name, go to the telephone, pick it up, reservation, Mr. Jones, and they'll be with you in 10 minutes. Anyway, I did that. Anyway, this bus came for me and took me. You'll love this. They took me to this right big posh hotel. So I gets there, reservation. We're going off the subject, but this is all about learning, travelling, 17-year-old kid on your own, if you know what I mean. First time I've been away. Next thing is, I get to this hotel, and the guy says name, said Mr. Jones. I said, okay, Mr. Jones. He said, we have a very, very good room for you. You've got the penthouse suite. Oh, right, that'll do.
Winning.
So I goes up, and this guy takes me upstairs, like they do, carry your bag, and I said, listen, mate, I'll carry my own bags. I remember it. So I said, I've no money to tip you, which I hadn't. I went with 30 quid in my pocket. He says, no problem. No problem. So I goes in this room, and Gemma, I'm telling you, the first thing was one of them globe drinks cabinets where you open it, and there's bottles of spirits in it. I don't drink, but I'll have a dabble with that.
I'll give it a go.
Where's my bed? I see, press a button, the bed came out the wall. Where's the telly? Press another button, the telly turned round the wall. Walked into the bathroom, pressed the buttons, jacuzzis, everything. Flashing lights, the full Monty.
Well,
I thought, I am going to be, is this what wrestling's all about? I'm having this.
Sign me up. I'm coming.
You know what I mean? I mean, I'm being treated like a king, and I'm thinking promoters paying all this. Anyway, the next morning, time to check it out. And I apologise, but we're all grown up. We know what's happening. 17-year-old kid goes downstairs, and this bloke says, hey, Mr. Johns, how was your room? Very good. I said, excellent, fantastic. He said, yes, we have 5 penthouse suites, and you have one of them. Next thing is, this, let's say, young lady stands at the side of me with the biggest pair of knockers I've ever seen in my life. And she's showing them with a short skirt on and an ass, massive. Well, that alone for me, I'd not seen out like that before. And there's a bloke that must have been 4 times older than her. She was like 22, he was 70 odd. And he's kicking off. So I'm weighing all this up. He says, I brought my fiancée here to this hotel, one of the best hotels in France, and you give me a shitty room. He said, I ordered the penthouse suite. And I'm looking, I'm looking at the bird, I'm looking at him. He's obviously a millionaire. We've got a girl with him, right? The manager comes down and he says, I am sorry, Mr. Johns, to this bloke. You've got it, haven't you?
They'd put you in the wrong room, hadn't they?
My name's Jones. So they put me in his room. And he had my shitty room. So that was the first time I ever went abroad. And I just swapped off. I said, that'll do for me. But the moral of the tale is, you know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was in a foreign country and I just took it gladly. But once I got to Mexico, I must admit it was my style of wrestling. And when you're about this lucha libre, there was a guy called Pedro Aguayo, who was a well-known wrestler. And in Mexico, if you ever got beat, you had your hair cut or the mask used to come off. And we did a series of matches, and I'll cut the chase. Me and him had a great chemistry. We had a good match. And this particular night, I beat him and challenged him for his championship. So the next house was good. And then I beat him again. But he was going to America, so he jumped on a plane and it showed him going on a plane. And then when he came back, they did a story that he'd left the country because he didn't want to face me. So when he came back, we had a match. And it was the loser had his hair cut because he used to do hair matches. And if I tell you, Gemma, I've got the posters, if nobody believes me, we drew 33,000 people.
Oh my God. Mind you saying that, you do draw in the crowds, don't you?
Well, no, but 33,000, I'm only 18. I've never seen that many people. And I'll tell you now, and I'm not bothered if that man's listening, in 1977, for one night's work, I got 998 quid. That's like 40 grand.
That's not too shabby, is it, really, in today's conversion?
Not really. Anyway, the good news is the rest was history because then I went into the German tournament and I couldn't hold a job. I was a driving instructor, I was a window cleaner, I was a butcher, I was everything. So when all these people, Gemma, think that wrestling is a bed of roses, it's not. It's because it's very, very hard to hold a job down and you can just get dumped tomorrow. But I was very, very fortunate that I did okay.
You have been really lucky in your career, definitely. I mean, even down to like your training, you know, you've already mentioned your trainers were absolutely phenomenal. If you could have changed trainers at the time, I mean, we are going back now to the 70s, aren't we? If you could have changed your trainers to any other trainer, who would it have been?
Nobody.
No one.
No, because Billy Robinson was like a family member, knew me dad, and his mother knew my mother with a hairdressing shop. And I didn't have to. You don't have, in them days, you didn't have trainers. Not like now where there's a gym popping up every corner and anybody just goes in. And I mean, you couldn't get into professional wrestling when I was a lad unless you come through the amateurs or, you know, you had a family member.
Yeah, I mean, you really did work your way up, didn't you? Right from the very bottom all the way to the top.
I knew nothing else. But when I said to you before, Jim, I thought wrestling was a load of crap. When I had my second match, I was on with a guy called Tony Charles. And because I come from a reputable school with Billy Robinson and because I had a good amateur background, I tell you, I wrestled him and I disappeared up my own ass. He just tied me nuts. And in my next match, I was on with a guy called Pete Ginsberg. And he pulled me in the changing room. He said, you know that leg lock you've done, that you've just done? I said, yeah. He said, don't do it again. I said, what do you mean? He said, that's my finish. And you just let your little skinny kid kick out of it. That's my finish. Do not do it again. I shit myself. These were big, hard men.
Yeah, but
You
you
know
can
what I
hold
mean?
your own.
Pardon?
You can hold your own. It wouldn't have mattered.
Well, listen, I was all right doing amateur wrestling on the mats, but when you talk about fisticuffs and things like that. But anyway, they accepted me. And like I say, Colin Johnson, Johnny Saint was from the same school as me. And then I got on the road, went to Europe. And then the big break for me is when I went to Japan, because that was like my style. In them days, it was amateur wrestling plus a bit of showmanship. Now, let's get it right. I'm not trying to defend the job in that way. Yeah, wrestlers do work together, but there's no wrestlers these days. There's only a select few who, if it was a kick-off, could handle themselves. I'd be surprised if anybody jumped in the ring that could handle themselves. It was a total different ball game from what it is today.
I speak to, this is one thing that I do touch upon with everybody, like the difference, because I'm an 80s child, so I grew up with 80s wrestling on the TV. And I swear I could kick my brother's backside from here to Japan, no problem. It was great. But compared to now, it is a bit snowflakey. You have to be careful these days not to offend people.
Yeah, but I also feel that, forget my journey, I've had a fantastic journey, and I've faced the consequences with my injuries and this, that, and the other.
We'll get onto them in a bit.
Yeah, but the problem that upsets me, people are getting in that ring and they're not show ready. They're not good enough to get in that ring.
Yeah.
The promoter in my day wouldn't invest in you. And don't forget, Emma.
Who's Emma? Who's Emma, Marty?
Who's what?
Who's Emma?
Gemma. Have you got cauliflower ears?
I think I've got something, love.
No, what I'm saying, Gemma, is like the mileage alone. You used to jump in your car and drive down to London. And them days, you could hit the motorway and do 60, 70, 80 mile an hour. Nowadays, it's 50 mile an hour all the way else you get a ticket. And you get to London, wrestle, come back. And unfortunately for me, my wife died very, very early. And I brought 2 kids up at the age of 6 and 9, as well as wrestling, and also holding a job. So don't tell me I've had it easy.
I mean, I've done my research in order to speak to you tonight, and I don't think I could ever sit here and say to you, you've had it easy, because you haven't. You've worked damn hard, not just in wrestling, but you've worked damn hard to maintain everything to get where you are today. Take my hat off to you, sir. Take my hat off to you. You have though, and
you have to do what you've got to do.
Well, yeah, you have to do what you need to survive, but you also had the passion for wrestling, didn't you? Which is exactly why, and I suppose because you're a little bit of a cheeky chappy, that's got you to where you are, or where you was in your heyday.
Yeah.
So, you know, you've worked hard.
But like I said to you before, Gemma, the thing is, did you watch, I'll jump to the chase, did you watch WrestleMania?
When? Recently?
Yeah.
No.
Well, as you know, I'm very friendly with William Regal, right? Because I trained him and, you know, this, that, and the other. And I thought, and I'd love to have wrestled in the day of Steve Austin and Ric Flair and The Rock. I'd love to have done that, right? But I thought the biggest mistake I ever did, and not a lot of people know this, and it's an exclusive, I was in Japan and they brought, because I was Andre the Giant's tag partner, which was an honour. In other words, I did all the work. He just stood there, but he drew the crowd in. And Vince McMahon, Dad, Vince McMahon Sr., brought a tour over from America to Japan. And they thought, oh, this ain't going to work. because in Japan it's all serious stuff, you know, and you're going to fetch all these showmen in and all that. Chief J Strongbow, Bob Backlund, who was a great wrestler, Andrew the Giant was on the team, but I was already there, so they asked me would I stop on. So I said, yeah, great. And it was like America versus Japan, which we didn't think was going to go down well. But it did okay, because when Chief J Strongbow went in and started doing the American Indian dancing with the head feathers, it went well. But Vince McMahon Sr. said to me, would I like to go to America? I said, you are. Would you like to come to America and wrestle? In them days, it was WEF or something like that. It wasn't WWF. So I said, are you serious? I said, you must be effing joking. I wouldn't work for that pile of shit. Because I thought it was all a joke. It was all comedy. It was all biggest mistake in my life. You know what I mean? Because that's the way it was bred into me.
Yeah. I can't believe you said that.
I said, you must be joking. I don't want to wrestle with that load of crap.
Why would you say that?
But on the same time, who's the greatest sportsman? Who's Gemma, let me ask you a trivia question. Who do you think is the most famous sportsman?
What?
Name-wise. Sorry?
Out of every single sport?
Yeah.
Oh. I don't know.
Muhammad Ali.
I was thinking Muhammad.
Right? He was in our changing rooms.
I'm sorry, what now?
He shook hands with us. He was in our changing rooms. Because if you remember, Antonio Inoki, who was a Japanese legend, was on with Muhammad Ali, wrestler versus boxer. And I was on that card.
Please tell me you got his autograph.
No, I just shook hands with him. One of the boys, no problem.
It's just one of the lads. We're just hanging out.
You know, he went viral. He went on first satellite television. It was a big flop. But it did really, really well in Japan. And I can tell you stories about that match. And if you want me to, I'll do it quick.
Oh, fire away, lovely.
Yeah, Muhammad Ali was like with the American mafia. They were the ones that were ruling it all. Antonio Inoki was with the Japanese mafia. And they said, our guy can't lose. They said, our guy can't lose. And with 5 minutes to go, they didn't know what the hell was happening. I was there. And this is the truth. So Muhammad Ali said, right, we'll do a draw. Inoki said, we'll do a draw. But you can't hit me on the floor with being a boxer. Right? And I won't put any submissions on you. The bell went and they did 12 3-minute rounds. And Inoki went on the floor and he kicked shit. Just kicked, right, Ali's legs. And if it was a straight fight, if Ali had hit him, he'd probably knock him out.
Yeah.
But Inoki would have creased him, you know, submission wrestling. After the match, they did 12 3-minute draw. It was the most boring thing that ever you've seen. Right? They had it at the Apollo in Manchester, live. And there was one promoter and 2 wrestlers in the place. 3 people turned up. He just didn't take off. He would do nowadays, but he didn't in them days. And Ali went to hospital with a suspected thrombosis in his leg because he'd been kicked that hard.
No.
These are things that you remember as a kid, you know what I mean? And I was part of it, if you know what I mean.
You was there?
I was there. I saw it with my own eyes. People don't know these things.
You've mentioned Andre the Giant. So,
hell of a guy.
And you tagged matched with him, didn't you?
Yeah.
What was it like having him as your teammate?
Well, the guy, what you don't know about Andre, the guys that used to wrestle in the 60s and 70s, Andre the Giant actually came to Great Britain to learn to wrestle. He went to Wigan, the home of the Catchers Catch Can, and he was a small, a slim, tall, skinny kid. And Andre the Giant, Jean Ferret, was French, and he actually played rugby union for France, but he came over to learn, and he always liked the English guys, always. But this fella, Gemma, wherever he went, he packed the place out. He was the 8th wonder of the world. Massive. And if all these tales about him drinking, I've been there when he had 55 litres of Sapporo beer in one night. 55 litres. Never saw him eat. But he says to me, "Hey, Marty, you want to come out tonight?" I said, "It's 10:30 at night." Because the sponsors wanted him to go to their karaoke bars and things like that, you know. And he took to me, and I'm telling you, yeah, if he couldn't get in a car, he had to get in a big Toyota and lie down in the back. Telling you, the tales that I know about him, unbelievable. But we got on like house on fire because I was the one that was in the tag match that did all the work with Fujinami and Naoki. And if I told you, he were on $33,000 a week in 1977. Phenomenal.
That's not too shabby, is it?
I'd have 33 quid now.
Oh, well, I was going to say, at least you'd be able to pay your gas and your lecky bills with that, wouldn't you?
Just about.
So, like, we are on to the big names of the people that you've obviously wrestled with then. So, We've obviously mentioned Andre, Bret Hart, Owen Hart, Dave Finlay, Hulk Hogan. The list is endless. Absolutely endless. Would you be able to sit there and name every single wrestler out of the bigger names that you've wrestled with?
What do you class as a big name?
Well, just the big names, the ones.
You mean the modern big day?
No, back in the day.
Well, you just mentioned them because, you know, I used to have a few feuds with Mark Rollerball
Rocco, yeah.
You know, Finlay.
Didn't that start when you took the belt off him for the first time? Did it then continue with Rocco?
Oh, yeah. Listen, what the thing is, Gemma, what people don't realise, let's just take, I hope you're going to get on to Aaron and Fabrice later on, but just say for argument's sake there's a show. They won't be there until the next month. We had wrestling every night, every week at these venues. But we had the World of Sport television. So if I wrestled you for argument's sake and they saw it at 4 o'clock on the Saturday and they enjoyed it, then they see it in the newspaper that me and you are wrestling at their hall, they'd go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That World of Sport, right, at 4 o'clock, 15 million viewers it used to have. We used to beat the FA Cup final. We have handicapped people. We had people that are housebound. We have pensioners, autistic people. They loved our Saturday afternoon. Because Saturday afternoons was go to the pub, if you haven't been to football, come back and get your coupon ready for 5 o'clock, but watch wrestling. that was our shop window. And I was very fortunate that Rocco and Finlay, listen, they give as good as you got. When Finlay used to kick you in the back, if you had false teeth, they landed on the front row. He was an hard bastard, but the good thing is you can give it him back, and it looks so real. And I don't have to say anything. Just go on YouTube and watch all my matches with Finlay.
I have.
Right? Rocco, you'd wrestle him, and then all of a sudden you get a boot in the head. And then you'd boot him back. You got as good as you got. You know what I mean?
Well, speaking of Aaron and Sabrice, they are both watching and they both say hello, as does Craig Stevens and Bobby Salzar and World of Pro Wrestling. They're all saying hello to you.
Hello, everybody. I'm not talking that Sabrice. Well,
actually, I was going to save this to the very end, but she's popped up and I had to tell you that she was there. So I've heard, and I'm not condoning or endorsing this type of behaviour at all. You understand, Marty?
Yep.
But I've heard you've got a little bit of a thing about wanting to throw our Sabrice into the lake in Skegness.
Not the lake, the boating pond.
The boating pond, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. Well, I love her to bits, but she's a cheeky cow.
I couldn't put it better myself.
Hey, is it right? Is it right? She's your drinking partner.
She is. She's my BFF.
Yeah, I know, but I bet it costs you a fortune when you two go out, don't it?
Hey, well, I'm not going to lie to you, Marty. And it's a good job it's just me and you here, so don't tell anyone I've told you this, but we're cheap dates, and me and Sabrice. We only have a couple, and that's it. We're away with the fairies.
All right.
Cheap dates.
No, I'll jump to that in a minute anyway, but how it all started, I used to wrestle at Skegness. And as you know, they've got a boating lake there, right outside the front door. And I remember one time I had a bit of a do with a wagon driver who was pissed. And as we were trying to get into, drunk. And as soon as I was trying to get in my car, he's pulling me back. Anyway, he ended up swimming, you know what I mean? So, and she started being cheeky to me with Sabrice and said, that's where you'll end up if you keep your cheek up. And she challenged me. And that's how it all starts. Well, going back to the... Sorry, love, go on.
Just because before we forget about this, like as I said, I'm not endorsing their behaviour in wanting to throw Sabrice into the lake. But if this does happen, can you give me the heads up? So A, I can bring her a change of clothes because she'll kill me if I don't. And B, so I can record it.
No, don't bring the change of clothes. Let walk home.
She'll kill me.
No, she's a drip anyway. She'll be all right.
She's going to kill you.
To be honest, I love them both to death. And the thing, end of the day, I need to find time. And can I ask you a personal question?
Always.
Right. Have you got a partner or are you married?
No one will have me.
Right. Well, we've made a tag match then. Me and you against them two. They keep asking me to come up and have a few beers with them, right? And I think it's all waffle.
It's not. It's really not.
Right. So.
I mean it.
Right. The match is on. Right. That's what we'll do.
I'll be your date, Marty. Sorted.
Are you expensive?
No, I've just told you I only have a couple of bevies and I'm away with the fairies. I've just told you this, so you're on to a winner. Cheap night, anyway. Yeah, that sounds good, to be fair.
Anyway, I must admit, though, getting back to the thing, they do really, really try hard. And I respect them because they're trying to keep wrestling as wrestling. Aaron's a great guy. He trains hard. I've given up on training. I've never lifted a weight in my life, me. That's the truth. But I'm serious, Gemma. I've never lifted a weight in my life. I don't believe in it.
That's something that I was going to ask you, because the one thing I've noticed about a lot of the wrestlers is they like to keep in shape. They like to keep fit. They're on it with the diet. So I was going to say, did you have any fads that you went through or any sort of specific in-training diets? But you obviously didn't.
Well, when you say diet, when you're wrestling, sometimes 10 times a week. Because that's what I used to do. because sometimes you do the holiday camps as well as wrestling. We'd get in that car, you'd drive down to London. As soon as you come back, me and Johnny Saint used to travel a lot together. He's like a brother to me, Johnny. I mean, he's older than me, but we used to travel together. And we used to get 4 cans of Guinness each at the bottom of the M1 and a doner kebab and drive all the way back
Now
to
you're talking my
Manchester.
language.
And we'd just be finishing our last. In them days, you never got pulled for drink driving.
No. Just to make everybody aware, just to make everyone aware as well, if Marty does happen to drop out, it's because his phone battery is quite low. So if he does disappear, that's why. Are you back with me?
Somebody just tried ringing me then.
Oh, I just thought, here we go, his battery's dying.
No, I cut them out. Anyway, and when you're eating that muck all the time and having a beer and then you're honestly, I can honestly say, when you see one little thing that gets me, I'm going to ask all your listeners, even yourself and Aaron, right? The promoter, I was very fortunate. If I was on with Rocco or Finlay, right, he'd say, right, you're on second, which is top of the bill on television. Yeah, okay, give me a good match. That was it. Sometimes now, what do you want, boss? Or give us 10 minutes of a match. 10 minutes? I used to do 12 5-minute rounds, championships. That's an hour. Gemma, you go for a walk for an hour.
I do actually, yeah, I walk quite a bit.
But what I'm trying to say to you is, the point is, after this lot, anything over 10 minutes, you have a nosebleed. Because you don't know how to work a match. You don't know how to hold a crowd.
I mean, to be fair, because I went to the Aaron's training academy.
Yeah.
I did the warm-up and I thought I was going to die.
Yeah, but this is what I'm saying. You're getting kids come in, the top rope's thicker than what they are. You know, there's no weight on them. And there's some great kids about, a lot of talent. But there's not a lot of good, reputable training schools. And I can honestly say that Aaron's and Sabrice's school is a good one. I did a seminar and I came away there so disappointed because I didn't give them my full potential. All right, there's a few kids there. Don't get me wrong. And I've said to him, I'll come back again and we'll do it. But what I like about them, they've got the passion that they want to succeed. And I can only help. I mean, I do send them some of my trainees up to do the shows. And I am doing this season. You know what I mean? We work together.
Speaking of trainees,
yeah.
I mean, you have been training some names that are coming through the circuit, haven't you? Quite a few.
Yeah.
Do you want to drop any names there of your trainees?
No. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to put it. The thing is as well, Gemma, is that you train people and you get them on shows, then you don't see them again. We've made it. In our day, we had to respect where we started from and always went there. You know, I mean,
being humble, isn't it? Aaron and Sabrice always say, no egos. We don't have egos at LWP. Leave them at the door.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is, once you start doing some shows, I don't need to train anymore. I'm doing some shows. I mean, I trained William Riedel, okay. And when I say I trained him, he was wrestling with Riedel, but he wasn't with at the time the right outfit. He was being used, if you know what I mean. So that's always nice when he goes on Twitter. I don't do Twitter and all that crap. He says, I'd like to thank Marty Jones for training me. Without him, I wouldn't have been this, that, and the other. And I respect that, right? And the daft thing is, I've got my own little team now. Ridge Holland's one of my boys. he's on the brink of something big. He wasn't in this. He was there at WrestleMania, but he's going to be the next level. You know what I mean?
It's not easy though, is it, to train these people without egos coming into it? Because a lot of people do, once they start feeling like they're getting somewhere, it's like, nah, I'm done, I don't need
Gemma,
you.
let me just stop you. You know what you're doing now?
What?
What are you doing?
Chatting.
Are you good at it?
Well, I'm not bad.
I think you're very good.
Do
You're saying it out, but you get some people who's got the ego, and it's the same with wrestling. But I don't know what. Have you been in journalism? Have you been this, that, and how did you learn your craft?
Well, no, not journalism. No. Well, yes and no. So I have done live TV,
Right.
but I actually, it's just talking to people, and it's not rocket science.
Yeah, but when you get people come to your gym, and then you put them on a show, and then they say, "Oh, I've been trained by Marty Jones from the Square Circle Wrestling Academy." It's surprised how many promoters then. Oh, he must be all right, him, if he trains there. And to be honest, half of them are shy because they're not ready. They're not ready. I must admit that I have put about 12 girls through for tryouts, which I'm proud of.
Good for you. Yeah, I'm impressed with that.
But how many message me now and speak to me? How many come training now?
I'm guessing not many.
Out of 12, would you say 3?
Well, I'd hope it'd be a few more than that.
No, there's 3.
Is that it?
That's it.
See, I'm a remember where you come from kind of girl. Everybody's different though.
That's what I'm trying to say.
But I'm very much a remember where you come from girl, because at the end of the day, the way I see it is, as quickly as you raise up, you can drop down twice as quick.
Yeah, but what the problem is, they make their own mark, and good luck to them.
Mm.
Right? And they are busy, a lot of them. But it don't take a lot to just press a few buttons and say, "Hey, Marty, thanks for everything," or whatever. And then I'm getting people now, and I'm not bothered now who's listening to this podcast, and I hope they'll know who they are, right? As I said to you before, Gemma, they only knock them at the top. I'll probably get a load of flack after this for this crap. When I say crap, I don't mean they think I'm talking a load of crap. But what I'm trying to say, I've had people knock me that's cost me £100,000 a year contract. I'm not going to go into names, but if he's listening, he knows who it is by saying that I was a racist. I never said out like that, but they made it all up.
See, this is the problem, though, isn't it? This is the problem.
Social media has killed our job.
I think
it helps in a little way, but it's definitely killed it.
I think, yeah, this is the thing with social media, isn't it? Everything just, and it's so easy to twist things and to add a spin on it, and it's ridiculous. So, Bobby Zalzar has asked in the question in the chat, if you could relive your wrestling career, would you?
What you mean? What I've done?
Yeah, if you could redo it all again, would you do it?
Oh, of course I would. Yeah, apart from the last 3 years, but that is an occupational hazard.
We'll get onto that. Don't you go mentioning any of that just yet. So what? I mean, when I say I've got pages and pages of questions here for you, Marty, I've got pages, and I haven't even looked at my book once yet, so I'm not doing very well. But I mean, we've just asked the question, if you could redo your career, would you? Likewise, if you could wrestle anybody, past or present, who would it be?
Billy Robinson.
Did you not wrestle him when he was training?
No. Well, we did amateur wrestling, but he was a phenomenal wrestler. I was really a kid. But no, I'd like to have gone on with, I mean, I did go on with Hulk Hogan, but that was a bit of a tongue-in-cheek because we had a match. The Americans came over to Manchester Victoria Station, and before they could go on, well, half an hour before, there was some law that an American couldn't come to this country, wrestle and go home because of the VATs and some. So they put 3 Americans on with 3 British lads, which was okay. And I was one of the lads. Tony Sinclair was another one, and we went on with Hulk Hogan, this, that, and the other. If I had my chance to go on with anybody, I'd like to have gone on with Ric Flair, Stone Cold, and I think this guy that's coming into the frame now, you've got Roman Reigns. I'm looking into the future. He's going to have a match with Gunther eventually. And going back to that WrestleMania, I said to all my students, mark my words, wrestling is like fashion. The mini skirts, the boob tops, the suits, they go out, but they all come back again. And wrestling is exactly the same. Wrestling is coming back. It's depicting 2 people having a contest all of a sudden. They're knocking shit out of each other, some of them.
Yeah. I mean, this is it. I mean, we're talking about knocking the shit out of people. So let's go on, because the amount of times you hear wrestling's all fake, blah, 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 blah. But injuries do happen, don't they? And especially long-term injuries from doing the sport.
Yeah.
Are you prepared to discuss just some of your injuries?
I was very, very lucky with injuries. Very lucky. You know, because if you're working every night type of thing. I mean, I remember my wife, I used to ring her up and I used to get back at, say, 3 o'clock and I couldn't get out of the car because you seize up with the journey back home. And I used to get a pillow and a blanket and I never saw her because I went back to the meat market at 5 o'clock to work. Then I was off again. Your body seizes up. But we're talking, Gemma, we're talking wrestlers here, not showmen as such.
But long term.
When I was on with Finlay and when I was on with Rocco,
not sure what's happening. I don't know if somebody's trying to ring him again or if it's his battery. We'll find out in a minute. Marty. Saying he's still here. Just give me 2 seconds, everyone. Let me just find out what's happening. Craig, I can see your question, and if I can get Marty back, I will ask him. Don't worry about that. Let me just drop him a message. No, his battery's died. Damn it. Well, guys, we've been chatting to Marty for over 50 minutes now. So what I'm going to do is I think we're going to have to revisit, because I've still got, as I said, I've got pages and pages and pages of questions that I've not even touched on with Marty yet. And his battery's died. So what I will do is, I'm really sorry. Just bear with me 2 minutes, actually. Sorry, everyone. Seconds. This is very unprofessional. I'm so sorry, everybody. Sabrice and Aaron, I put the link in the LWP chat earlier. If you just want to click on that link and jump on. We'll bring in Aaron and Sabrice, everyone. Oh, thanks, Bobby. I can't believe we've lost Marty, and I hadn't even touched on half of the questions that I wanted to ask him. but he's such a phenomenal man that you can just speak to him for days, couldn't you? Not even hours, literally. You could speak to that man for days. He's so interesting and so funny, and probably one of the loveliest people I have ever had the privilege of talking to. We have got Aaron coming in, everyone. He's just doing what he needs to do, so we can have a little bit of a recap with Aaron. Or both, Aaron and Sabrice. I'm not sure what we're going to get. What's everyone been up to anyway? Anybody been doing anything exciting? Don't forget as well, Sunday night, Bash at the Dunes, obviously at the Dunes Complex, 5 o'clock start time. Tickets can be purchased from the Dunes. There's a phone number across the bottom of the screen, and also if you need to drop us a message at LWP and we can arrange something for you. But yeah, don't forget Sunday night, 5 o'clock. Can't wait. And then next Wednesday, I'll check the date because I'm rubbish with dates. No, that's clock, Gemma. So next Wednesday is the 12th of April, back at Happy Days, and that is free entry. So if you're not doing anything, pop along, come and have some fun. I interviewed him early last year. No, you see, this is it, Bobby. I agree. You can't even scratch the surface, even if you go, like we was just under an hour, and you can't even scratch the surface with a man. When I've been doing my research for him, I have sat hours and hours and hours and hours and hours watching YouTube videos, and then just writing down notes. Like I've got 2 notebooks. So one that I sort of write questions in, and then another that I just make notes when I'm doing my research about the people that are coming on. I know hours I've spent just watching YouTube alone. That's without trawling through all the other different links to get the information. Hello, beautiful lady.
Hey, never mind.
You know now I feel really bad.
This is what friends are for. I was watching that. I was right digging it, and then all of a sudden it cut off. I thought I better jump in.
Oh, it's all right. I'd have just waffled anyway. Bless him. He did say at the start, like before we even went live, he was like, Gemma, my phone's on charge, but it's only got 17% battery. I was like, don't worry, we'll do what we can. But we'll just have to revisit. I mean, I don't think Marty's a one-hit wonder anyway. You can't get everything that you want to get out of that man in one show.
You know what? You could go on forever and a day. You'd write a book on him, but you'd never finish it.
Well, that was one of the questions that I wanted to ask. When's his book coming out?
Hopefully he'll stick his phone on charge. He might jump back on, then I can jump off and carry on watching him. But I don't know. But no, you know what? So far, so good. I was really enjoying that. And then that happened, and I was like, oh, for crying out loud. You know what I mean?
I know. I've got so many questions for him. It's unreal. So many questions.
Interesting. It was very interesting.
Have to revisit. Definitely going to have to revisit because the man's phenomenal. And I was just saying, like before you came on, he's such a gent, isn't he?
Do you know what? I'm not going to go on about anything to do with myself. That will say for a podcast on,
on Aaron's
another day. But we're talking about Marty Jones here, and like I say, I was just saying to Sabrice when I was watching you talking to him podcast, I said, this guy for many years, we're talking decades, 1-2 decades. Here he is, look. Right, shut up now, he's back here now.
No, listen, very, very quickly, because I've been on an hour, the power just went, and it's going to go again.
That's all right. Look.
I can only apologise. I'm pissed off with it. I'll do it tomorrow night as well if you want, or you can give me an hour and we'll come back.
We're going to have to rebook, Marty, because I could talk to you forever. But we are going round to Aaron and Sabrice's, aren't we, for our bevies?
Yeah.
You've set a date with me now, so you can't cancel that now.
I'm on my way.
Well, I'm not. Give me at least an hour to get ready.
Put some red lippy on, I like that.
All right, you're on.
Right, like I say, I knew straight away when it went then, and I've got 0 on it. It'll go again in a minute. But what I'd like to do next time if we do it again, get the viewers to ring in or speak and ask me questions. I'll ask you anything you want. I'm just on the boil then to start telling a few scoops.
Just one quick question for you, hopefully, before you go.
Yeah.
Craig Stevens, which is Craig McIntosh from Aaron's
yeah.
and one of his wrestlers, he wants to know if you had any advice for up-and-coming and trainee wrestlers, what would that be?
Respect who's training you. Don't let it go in one ear and out the other. What they tell you, put into practice.
He's gone again. Sorry. I did try and get it in for you, Craig. I'm so sorry, but yeah, his battery's gone again. But yeah, so we're definitely going to have to revisit Aaron because there's just so much to that man.
Yeah. I can tell you right now, I know Marty on a personal level quite well. I've been lucky enough to get to know him in life as a real good friend, as well as someone to look up to. You know what I mean? So, what he was just about to say, respect your trainer. Don't let it just go in one ear and out the other. We tell you things for a reason. You know what I mean? It's like Marty was saying. You go to a lot. I'm not slating anybody. That's not my job. You know what I mean? But there's a lot of wrestling training schools today, and a lot of these schools, a lot of the coaches or whatever have not been wrestling themselves 2 minutes or had very little experience. You know what I mean? But if you get a good school,
earlier.
Yeah, definitely. But if you get a good school, and massive shout out to Mike for giving us a nice little compliment earlier. But we'll only put you in certain things if we think you're ready. You know what I mean? Like, we don't just want people to go in there and just think they can wrestle when they can't, because one, they've got their lives to think about. It's a dangerous game. If you're not fully trained and you're not, you do your stunts and stuff like that, you're not learning all that sort of stuff. And two, this is why a lot of promotions have a bad name these days, because you're chucking a load of people, people in the ring in front of shows, in front of people, and not been wrestling 2 minutes themselves. And, I get we've all got to start somewhere, you know what I mean? And, my story is totally different to Marty's. But like I say, in those days, in Marty's day, there was only World of Sport followed on from All-Star professional All-Star wrestling. You know what I mean? There was very little promotions around. So to be in wrestling back then was a big thing. Anyway, where nowadays, I think in the UK there must be about 100, 200 promotions.
Yeah, there is quite a few, isn't there? Definitely. Well, we'll have to get Marty booked in to revisit. Bless him. I was chatting to him before we went live, and he was saying that he'd been fishing since 5 o'clock this morning, and then he got in and he was like, "Oh, I've got to do the podcast." And then he said, "I looked at my phone. He said, I've got it on charge, but it's just not holding." Yeah. So I was like, "It's fine. Don't worry. It is what it is." But we're definitely going to have to redo that anyway.
Yeah.
Normally you do the poster in the week, Aaron, but do we know who's on next week yet?
Next week? What, as in Happy Days?
No, I've already done that. Where you been?
Oh, the podcast, you mean?
Yeah.
That's not for me to decide, mate. That's the boss here, you know what I mean? Like, she usually lets it out within a day or two after this podcast. Yeah, there's a couple of cool names in mind that we want to get on board and stuff like that. Mine, even though I've jumped on Marty, sorry, buddy, I had to save something there. But, I will do mine soon. But, yeah, we've got a few other decent wrestlers, past, present, and future to jump on. And, yeah, it seems to be going all right. And
I'll just have to wait to find out. Wait and find out who's coming on next week. And obviously we'll update everybody as soon as we've got some dates from Marty when he's free. We'll update you all and we will revisit. And I'm so sorry that Marty's lost his battery, everybody, and that I couldn't ask all of the questions that I've been dying to ask him all week.
Best technical wrestler, or one of best technical wrestlers that ever lived, but technically gifted on, technology. It's a different story.
Absolutely. Absolutely. No, Aaron, thank you for jumping on.
No worries.
Good evening, Mr. Tracy. Are you all right?
For part one of Marty, all I'm going to say is, we'll make sure everything's all good for part two. But from one wrestler, looking at the we've all had someone to look up to, you know what I mean? And I follow a lot of British wrestling. growing up as a kid, because my old man and that used to watch it, and I watch it with him and stuff like that. And I study it more now than what I ever did. You know what I mean? I love the British wrestling. And Marty Jones, if you don't know Marty Jones is, then realistically, you're not a hardcore fan. What I mean by that is he is one of the best ever to step foot through that squared circle. You know what I mean? Through them ropes. And it's an honor to have him on the show. And there's so much you'll learn about him. And, you know, if you come to some of the LWP shows, you will probably meet him here and there. But he is by far, he's been in the ring with the top wrestlers that people know of. He's had a massive hand in some of the top superstars around the world. So he's a big, you know, inspiration to many, and is a massive asset to not just Line Wrestling Promotions, but wrestling in general. You know what I mean? So yeah, it's honoured to listen to that first off, but I need to get part 2 now.
I know. I can't believe it. Gutted. Well, thank you so much, Aaron. Thank you. You're a legend. And thank you to everybody that's joined us tonight. I'm so sorry that, like I say, Marty's lost power, but we will revisit with a part 2. And I will see you all again next week. Good night, everyone.
Ciao, Gemma.